right, welcome back to another episode of
Right.
Football 365. Season 2, Episode 4, Segment 2. This will be dropping on Friday, and today we are joined by ex-NFL player Barry Church, played for the Dallas Cowboys and the Jacksonville Jaguars. For me personally, I'm very excited for this one. Growing up, I'm a big Dallas Cowboys fan, and it's kind of fun to be able to talk to some guy that I grew up watching play football. So welcome back to another episode. Now go ahead and hit that Gronk Spike, the subscribe button, hit the like button as many times as Tom Brady has appeared in the Super Bowl, which feels like millions of times nowadays. And go ahead and leave a comment, just like Troy Aikman does every time Joe Buck doesn't make any sense. All right, Ruckman, so go ahead and let's dive into these questions.
Yes, sir. Well, first off, Barry, thank you very much for joining us. We just want you to introduce yourself to our audience. You know, who is Barry Church and something that you want the audience to know that they might not know about you already?
You guys did a great job, but like you said, I'm Barry Church, undrafted guy out of University of Toledo back in 2010, man. It seems like decades and decades ago, but I guess it is a decade ago now, damn. But yeah, man, so from Toledo, or from Pittsburgh originally. I went to Toledo for college, got out of there, graduated, got my degree, and then went to the NFL, or at least tried to get into the NFL. And I didn't get drafted, but, I went undrafted and ended up, sticking with the Cowboys, and the rest is history. But something that you guys may not know, man, I'm terrified of bees. I mean, I don't know if that's something great, but, I'm extremely terrified of bees. I got stung up like 1,000 times when I was 12. Ever since then, man, I've been horrified, and I've never been stung again. So bees, yeah, that's a no for your boy. But other than that, man, it's been good. Appreciate y'all having me on the show.
Yeah, we appreciate you, and I can say that I definitely probably share that fear with you of bees. My mom's allergic to them, so I try to stay away from them as well. But I kind of want to ask you now, what was your upbringing like? Was football kind of always in the picture for you, and did you play any other sports growing up?
Football was not always in the picture. I mean, my dad kind of played it growing up. He played a little bit of semi-pro down there in Pittsburgh. But really, I didn't really get into football until I was around like 12, 13. Before that, believe it or not, it was gymnastics, man. I was huge into the gymnastics. I'm doing flips and all types. I don't know, I was limber as hell. And, my mom was like, man, why don't you get into gymnastics a little bit? So I was like, all right, I gave it a shot. Ended up being pretty good. And I was getting ready to be on the travel team. And then that summer, my pops was like, man, just give football a shot, man. You can run a little bit, you're fast, just give it a shot. And I ended up playing Little League, man, and never looked back, man. I just found my love right then and there. And ever since then, man, I didn't look back. But gymnastics played a huge part early on in my just being able to, being flexible and being athletic and all that good stuff. So it was fun, man. It was fun.
Yeah, kind of before your NFL and everything kind of took off for your career, kind of want you to dive in a little bit, into your high school and college football experience, going to Toledo and then your high school. Just kind of talk about that for some people.
Yeah. So like I said, I was from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I went to Penn Hills, which is it's kind of a suburb outside the city, like, maybe 15 minutes outside the city. It's a huge quad A powerhouse. Well, it was back in the day. Now they switched it up and they got like 6A, 7A, all these different classes for high school football. Back when I went, though, it was quad A, was the biggest you can go. And that school, like I said, was a powerhouse for football. If you went there, that was the main sport. We won some championships in basketball, but football was the main thing. So going there, I mean, it was great because I was around so many athletes, like so many dudes that were just, primed to go to the league. They didn't get the opportunities that I had, but they had, more than enough talent to get there. So I got to play with a lot of great talented cats growing up. I think that kind of sharpened my game a little bit, got me better just going against those type of guys. And Penn Hills overall was a great experience, man. It was a great mixed school. It wasn't, it was predominantly black. It wasn't predominantly white. I mean, it was mixed up a lot. It was like a melting pot. So it was great. I got to, witness a lot of different cultures growing up over there. And sports, like I said, was a big part of it. Did a little track here and there, triple jump state champ. But, other than that, football was a big part of me growing up. I did all the little Nike football camps and, I think they had the rivals.com and the scout.com, affiliates back in the day. So that's what I, did the camps and all that stuff. I wasn't really a high recruit. Like I didn't get the 5 stars and all that stuff. I was around a 3-star rating. So, and the only way I got to a 3-star rating is because I saw on scout.com or Rivals that I was only like a 1.5 or a 2-star. So I emailed them in like, yo, man, like, come on. Like, I'm better than this. Like, I'm not a 2-star. I'm better than this. And the dude ended up, emailing me back randomly. It was like, man, you're right. I got you. So he bumped me up 1 star. So I was a 3 out of 5 star. I had a lot of MAC offers, Mid-American Conference. My couple big ones were West Virginia. And at the time they had Pat White and Steve Slayton back there in the backfield, and they were unreal. I think they were like number 2 in the country. So I had an offer from them, and I was pretty juiced up about it. But I felt like if I went there, man, I wasn't going to play early, and I wasn't going to develop. And I might have been like, my senior year, finally getting a chance to play, and that wouldn't have been a fun experience. So I kind of ex West Virginia out of there. Then I had Cincinnati and Michigan State. But Michigan State, they were more like, we want you to be that wideout. We want you to be that guy and, catch passes, possession dude, because I was nowhere near a burner. Like, I was not fast at all. So they offered me wide receiver. I didn't want to get hit. I was never a guy that liked to take hits. So offense was out of the board. Ended up going to Toledo because, Cincinnati, I partied way too much on my visit. And I was like, there's no way I'm going to graduate getting out of here. So I was like, man, I can't do that. My parents will be pissed. So let me go ahead and go to Toledo. Ended up hitting there, and the rest is history, man. Toledo ended up, showing love there, and it got me through school, 4-time All-MAC. And I feel like I should have got drafted out of there, but at the time, man, Mid-American conferences, and I was such a big safety. Back then, they didn't have the hybrid position. They didn't have that guy that's, can play linebacker and can play safety, kind of like a Derwin James. They didn't have that position, so people were kind of lost on me at what I would play at the next level. But ended up, Cowboys took a chance on me undrafted, and the rest is history.
Yeah, for sure. And I kind of wanted to bring up how you mentioned that you wanted to go to a college where you would play. And I feel like that's a big thing in today's generation is a lot of growing up players are fixated on the idea of Division I, and they're fixated on a big name school. And I feel like for our younger audience that tunes in, I just want them to know and understand that pick a school that fits you. Don't go to a school where you don't think you're going to play and stuff like that. So I wanted to chime in on that.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to just throw a quick thing about the MACs in there because we got Northern Illinois, which is only about 45 minutes from us. And just over the last 10 years with their prevalence, going to the Orange Bowl back in, I don't know, right around 2014, 15, the MAC is starting to get a lot more love and more of the mid-major stuff. So that was kind of cool how you talked about that before. Now they're taking a lot more serious, and it's good football because there's a lot of good athletes from our area that go there.
It's good. My bad. Go ahead.
No, you're good. Go ahead. No, you're good.
Oh no, I was just saying. I was just gonna piggyback on my man's. Like the Mid-American Conference, like you said, has gotten so much more love now, man. Back when I was there, the only way we got on TV was playing on a Tuesday or a Wednesday or like some random day like that in the late in the season. So for them to get love nowadays, it's great. It's great to see them hyping up the MAC as a conference as a whole.
Yeah, for sure. My friend Gannon mentioned Northern Illinois, and that's where we're from. So, you get any snow? You get any snow in Texas?
They're getting hit right now.
Yeah, we're getting killed, man. So like, this is the 3rd time it's happened since I've been here, which is 2010, where it snowed, man, and we're getting killed right now. It's like 6 inches deep. I know that's not a lot for like up north. Everybody's like, man, that's nothing. But down here, man, it's like they don't have any snow plows. Like instead of salt, they use sand, which I don't understand at all. So it's like it's crazy down here right now over some 6 inches, man. It's wild.
Yeah, for sure. All right, well, let's dive back into these questions. Just had to throw that little Northern Illinois thing in there. But so obviously, like I mentioned, I'm a Cowboys fan. So I have to ask you, in choosing the Cowboys, what was it like meeting Jerry Jones and the Cowboys brass? And what kind of went down in that leading up to the signing on as a Dallas Cowboy? What are the chain of events that kind of took place?
Well, as an undrafted guy, man, you really first you get the shock of, man, I didn't get drafted. Like I got, kickers and punters. Like the year I went, I think there was like 2 punters that got drafted in the 5th round and a kicker in the 6th. So I'm pissed off to begin with. Like, man, this is crazy. Like I'm 4-time All-MAC. I'm feeling myself. I should at least went in the 6th or 7th round, but didn't end up going. So right after the draft, as an undrafted guy, at least this was when I went, you only had about 10 minutes. 10, 15 minutes to decide. Your agent calls you, you say, hey, this guy or this team, and this team, wants you to come to their camp. They want you to try to get onto the team. And you only really have 15 minutes to decide, because if it happens quick, and if you're not quick enough, they'll be like, all right, forget you, we'll go to the next undrafted guy, because they have plenty of guys that just want to be in the NFL. Just give me a shot to get in. So you got like 15 minutes, and for me, the special teams coordinator for the Dallas Cowboys at the time was Joe DeCamillis, and he was with my agency. My agency repped him as well when he had to do contracts. So I figured, hey, I might have a leg up with the special teams guy, and that'll at least give me a shot. They'll at least hold me over till camp. And so I went with that. I went with my gut, ended up signing down there with Dallas. And I didn't really even meet Jerry, because if you're not drafted, if you're not one of them top, 2 or 3 picks, you're not meeting Jerry until camp, until like the whole team. He comes and speaks to the whole team type deal. So I didn't even meet Jerry until like OTAs or something like that. He came in, spoke to the whole team, said, blah, blah, blah. We're glad for you guys to be here and all this good stuff. But over my time being there, I got to meet and got to know Jerry well, and that dude he's one of the best that you'll ever want to meet. I mean, this dude, he looks out for his players, even the guys that have gone and come back when they retire. Like after I retired, now I work for the Dallas Cowboys. I do their media, I do their pre and post games, I do all that stuff, just because of my relationship with the guys there, and I never burnt bridges. So for me, Jerry Jones, man, he's a phenomenal guy, and that dude looks out for his players. So back to the main story. So when I undrafted, came in for the Cowboys, tried out, had my leg up with a special teams coordinator who does Joe DeCamillis. And to me, I just ended up being best friends with him. Just knowing that special teams guy, knowing that this is how you're going to probably make the team, you got to become best friends with him. I was able to do that. And the rest was history. I was able to make the team as a special teams guy.
Yeah, that's a pretty cool story right there. The common phrase is, everything's bigger in Texas. With you playing there, now you're living there and working for the Cowboys, kind of tie in that statement, going just media coverage, practice, everyday operations, the games, just everything is really built up and hyped against it's called America's football team with the Cowboys. Just kind of speak on that.
I mean, I'm not going to lie, man. It's the hypest organization that you'll probably ever see, maybe in all the sports. I mean, outside of maybe the Lakers, maybe, but Dallas, I mean, like I said, I've been to Jacksonville, which is not a huge region when it comes to, networks and all that stuff. It's not like a New York. It's not like a Dallas. So I've been to both sides. And when I tell you Dallas is probably just the marketability alone, like when you go to practice, like on a Tuesday or like a Wednesday, it's just supposed to be an average day. After practice, you'll have 30 to 40 media members just swarming all over the locker room. Like it's just an average day. Win, lose, or draw. Like the year we were 4-12, we had a media storming the whole season. The year we were 13-3, the same thing. Like it's just so. It's when you have that star on your helmet. I mean, it's like they say, it's just not on the field; it's off the field. I mean, it's like a circus, man. Like just everybody just wanting to be a part of it, wanting to be with the Dallas Cowboys. It's an amazing process, man. And just like I said, it's like night and day when you go to other organizations. But overall, man, there's nothing like the Dallas Cowboys, man. Like you said, you're America's team. No matter what records you have, you're on primetime TV. Like in Jacksonville, we went to the AFC Championship and we had one primetime game. It wasn't even a primetime. We played at like 4:05 on Fox, and that was like the America's game or something like that. And I was with the Cowboys. We were 4-12. We had 3 Monday night games, a Sunday night game, playing on, holidays, Thanksgiving. It's just that whole appeal with Jerry Jones, the star, the Dallas Cowboys, America's team. I mean, there's just nothing like it when you're playing in the NFL, and you see it even more now that I'm out of the league and I'm working for them in the media side. You see even more how just having that star on your helmet, it's amazing, man. Like I said, it was an incredible experience.
Yeah, for sure. I can't even imagine what that circus was like down in Big D, but I kind of want to ask you now. You mentioned how you obviously didn't burn any bridges or anything, and that's kind of why you're able to continue to help and promote this Dallas Cowboys organization. So I want to ask you, what are some of the relationships that you built throughout that organization? Like it could be teammates, coaches, and who was your best friend on the team?
Oh man, so the easy one is my boy, man. My best friend when I was on the team, and he's still one of my great friends, man. We actually do a show together, a podcast together as well called the Players Lounge. But that is Danny McCray, man. Like we came in the same way, undrafted, safeties, playing special teams. And he actually, I barely made, I think I was like the 52nd or the 53rd player on the 53-man roster. Like the first game, I didn't even dress. I was just on the, when street clothes, just on the sidelines. But he was actually, one of the top teams guys. He was, Deacon Melissa's boy, which is the special teams coordinator. He was his boy, man. So McCray, man, we came in together. We battled for years, man, just, on special teams, going against other squads. So that ended up being my boy for my whole NFL career. And like I said, after playing, we still link up now and then. So, I mean, that's my guy right there. So, but the other overall, what was the other part of the question? I'm sorry.
Oh, you're good. It was pretty much just like, what are some of the special relationships you formed? It could be anyone within the organization.
For me, I mean, you definitely, all your teammates, you got a special bond with. It's being as though I was there as long as I was. I was with the Romos, the Wittens, the Dezes. I mean, all the linemen. I got a relationship with all those guys. But outside of football, I was really good with the media guys. I was with, Derek. I was with, Hellman, who's also covers the Dallas Cowboys as well. Derek Eagleton. I mean, I was with all those reporters, and I never kind of, when I was playing, I never kind of gave them the cold shoulder, like, nah, I don't want to talk right now. I was always open to them, hey, what's up? I want to, what's up with you? Let me know how you're doing. So I always had a relationship with those guys, and I never gave them the cold shoulder. And that ended up working out for me, once I retired. Because when I retired, I was like, hey, what am I going to do now? Do I want to get into this? Do I want to get into that? And I had the guy, Derek Eagleton, reach out from the Cowboys and hit me up and say, hey, what you think about getting into this? And I was like, hey, y'all give it a shot, might as well, and get nothing else to do. Ended up falling in love with it. So for me, I mean, I was never one to burn bridges, and I always wanted to keep my relationships healthy, whoever they are with. And they ended up, proving dividends, as I retired and as I get into the second part of my life.
For sure. And I kind of want to throw in there, you mentioned you didn't really give the cold shoulder to the media, and we happened to interview Jeff Kavanaugh, and he works with Brian Broaddus and David Helman.
All those guys, yeah.
They do the draft show and stuff, and he threw in Orlando Scandrick's name and how he'd like to give the cold shoulder to the media. I want to mention that.
Yeah, that's my guy, man. I've known O, man, for years, man. Probably going on 11 years now. I've been cool with O, and one thing I will say, and why I'm still cool with him, is because he'll never change, man. He never changes. Like he was giving guys the cold shoulder before I got in the league. When we both got out of the league, he's still giving. I mean, that's just who he is, man. So anybody, but that's my dog. That's my dog for real. So overall, he's a great dude, but he's never going to change. He'll always give guys the cold shoulder.
Yeah. Kind of what's some of your favorite memories, both individually and team-wise through your NFL career? And, what's some advice that you would give to a young kid that's looking up right now and just, want to be an NFL star? I know it's a big goal and aspirations, but what's just a few things that you would tell that young guy to, work for?
Oh, man. First with the memories, man, there's so many of them, man. So many of them. But, man, I'd have to say the first time it was 2000, I want to say 11. And it was my second year in the league. I was just doing special teams, never really got an opportunity to play defensively. And our starting safety, Gerald Sensabaugh, he got hurt. He had pulled his calf or something like that. And so that whole week, I wasn't really studying defense. I was doing straight special team stuff, looking at their punt formations and all that, because I figured I would never get in. I never had an opportunity so far. So when he went down, I was like, oh, man, what the hell's going on? Church, get in there, get in there. I'm like, oh, man, here we go. So it was Detroit. I think it was Detroit 2012, and we were going against Calvin Johnson. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, man, that's Megatron over there. I'm a young pup, right? I'm like, man, this is Megatron right here. And I think it was the second or third play, he ran a slant pattern. And I'm, if anybody doesn't know, I'm the whole safety. So I'm the deep middle safety. And my read is, I'm looking at quarterback, where he's looking at. I see he dials up. There's a 3-step drop, and he bullets one in the Megatron. So Megatron catches it. And, I feel like I'm a bigger safety. I was about probably 220 at the time. Megatron still had me by about, 15 pounds. But I feel like I got a clean shot on him. When he caught the slant, caught it, tucked it. I'm right there. Pow! Man, if I didn't fall back about 5-6 yards, pop my shoulder out, Megatron, he stumbles for another 10 yards and then falls. I'm like, man, why? That was my first realization. Like, yo, the league is real, man. Like, cause I'm thinking like, yo, I got a clean hit on him. He didn't even see me coming. And this dude literally just ran right through me and didn't even like I wasn't even there. And that just made me realize, man, that was my first memory of like, man, welcome to the league. Like you gotta step your shit up, young man. So and then later on, about 3 plays later, right before halftime, man, they throw a Hail Mary to this dude. And I still get highlights on this, from ESPN every now and then. They'll at me. And I'm like, man, what are y'all doing? Like, anyways, he threw up a Hail Mary, man. And I wasn't the only one over there. It was me, Mike Jenkins. I don't know if y'all remember, but Mike Jenkins was out there. And Sean Lee was out there as well. And Megatron, man, he just got some type of superpower or something, man. He just boosted up. Wow. And I'm thinking I'm jumping pretty high myself. This dude's just climbing and climbing and climbing. And there's about 3 of us just all laboring on him, holding him, trying to get the ball out. Dude just goes up, snags it like we're some little kids, comes down with us still hanging on him, kind of shivers us off like we're some leaves or something, man. And it was just, that was one of the most humbling games I think I've ever been a part of. And it was a memory that, I held fondly, obviously, as I'm sharing this with y'all. But I mean, it was a wild game, and it was one of my best memories because it taught me that I got to step my thing up. I got to step up in the game. So it was a cool time, though. Cool time.
Yeah, for sure. And before I ask my actual question I got for you, I kind of want to ask you. You mentioned Megatron, so who would you say throughout your career, like what were the toughest receivers you had to go up against and tackle and make plays on the ball?
Well, one would definitely, like I said, was Megatron, because he did that to us again a couple years later, man. He went for like 300 on us, and I don't even want to talk about it. That was just a disgusting game. So he went nuts on us. So Megatron for sure was one of the toughest guys I think I've ever went against. And then the other two, one of them's not a receiver, but he was just an unreal competitor who I had to go against, and that was Jordan Reed. Well, actually, they're both not receivers, but they're just overall competitors and probably the toughest people to ever go against. But the one was a tight end by the name of Jordan Reed. He still plays, I think, out in San Francisco behind Kittle. But in his prime, man, he was the first, receiver tight end. He was the first to kind of go out there, and you think he's built like a tight end, but he got shimmy and shake like a receiver, kind of like Kelsey. He was Kelsey before Kelsey, if y'all watched football back then. But he was so tough, man, because he was so quick. And his moves he had moves on moves. So the dude was just unreal. It was kind of unguardable at the tight end. And injuries kind of slowed his stuff down. But overall, he was tough. And then got to throw Adrian Peterson in there, man. I went against him so many times. I played him probably about 8-9 times. And they were all battles, man. I mean, it was just hit after hit. Dude just doesn't stop going. You think you get a hit on him, and he'll get up and pat you on the head like, man, good hit, man. Let's keep it going. I'm like, man, what? I just gave you everything I had. You just kind of shrugged me off, But I mean, those two definitely were two of the hardest competitors, along with Megatron. Like I said, he was just an unreal beast.
Yeah, I think you're definitely seeing more of those tight end receivers in the NFL nowadays with guys like, Darren Waller's popping off now with the Raiders.
Exactly.
He's a guy just like that. But I have to know. What was your reaction to the Dez Bryant no catch in the playoff game against Green Bay?
That was some bullshit, man. I ain't even gonna lie to you, man. That hurt, man. Just even now looking back at the replays and just even looking at games nowadays where I'm like, how did these guys are considering that a catch? Yeah, but Dez wasn't a catch. Exactly. And I was right there, man, because we had stopped A-Rod. Man, it was like, I think it was either fourth or third down. Might have been fourth, man.
It was fourth down.
Yeah, and I'm like, why are we throwing a fade? I think we only needed 10 or 6 yards or something like that. And we threw a fade. I'm like, what are we doing? So I'm like this mid throw, man, what's going on? But then I look up and it's Dez. I think he's one-on-one with Sam Shields, man, and went up. I knew Dez was a 50-50 king. He's a 50-50 jump ball king. No, that dude's him and Megatron they're close. Megatron just maybe a little bit because of his size, but overall, Dez was unreal. So I'm thinking, oh shit, we got this. Hold on. I think somebody. Hold on. How do I get off of there? Somebody was trying to call me. All right, I'm back on. Okay, so I'm thinking, oh man, he got this. Goes up 2 hands, ball's tipped, kind of juggled a little bit. Sam Shields goes down. There's kind of tibbling up hands. He gets it. He grabs the ball with 2 hands. Then he transfers it to his right hand. I'm like, oh, this is a catch. 1 hand down, and you can see he's reaching. That's what I don't understand when they say he didn't have, possession, all that other stuff. I'm like, he's reaching the ball. If he was losing possession, he'd be still have it up in here trying to make sure he had it, but he had the ball reaching for the goal line.
He was making a football move.
Yeah.
Making a football move.
Yeah.
Ball pops up. he recatches it, man. I'll never forget it, man. The dude comes out of it wasn't Hockey Elite, man. It was another one of those famous refs, man. Came out of the booth. Like, I'm thinking, man, all right, we got this. Either we're going to be on the 1 yard line or
I think
it
was
might have been
Gene.
Sarator. I think it was Sarator. And he came out there, man, he got a little shrug on his face. He's just like, incomplete. I'm like, oh, this is some bullshit. Man, our whole sideline erupted. It hurt, man, because we knew, man, we had them because we beat Seattle earlier that season. We went up to Seattle and beat them, man. So we knew we had them boys, man. And man, that one hurt, man. That was a tough playoff loss, man.
Yeah, I mean, because that was mixed emotions because I'm a huge Packers fan. So it was, I mean, that's kind of leads me to, I don't want to talk about more because I give Bryce enough crap about Aaron Rodgers' dominance against the Cowboys with the Jared Cook throw. But
oh, man, I forgot about that, bro, too, man. Man.
I just want to ask you, you know, on a personal thing, how was it going against Aaron Rodgers? I just give a little insight into that. I've seen him just, you know, because you were obviously defensive back playing safety, just watching him throw the ball and his greatness. I just want to hear a little bit about that.
Man, I tell you, when it comes to, you know, championships and all that, you know, Brady, he might have that. He got all the rings. Like I said, he's ultimate quarterback. But when it comes to just being a talented quarterback, arm talent, all that good stuff, this guy, I think, probably was the greatest, man. I mean, you know, you got Patrick Mahomes now, but before that, this dude his arm talent was unreal. I mean, I'm talking about there's times when defensive linemen would be, you know, hanging on his kneecaps. This dude flicks his wrist. The ball is traveling 60. And I'm not talking about no, like, you know, wounded duck 60. It's on a rope. And it's always catchable. Like, the thing is right in the bread basket. So as far as arm talent goes, this dude is unreal. There's some of the throws I've seen him make. And on top of that, he's just cerebral. Like, he has it up top. There's times where you think there's no way this dude knows what I'm fitting to do. And before he snaps, he'll kind of look at you, give you a little smirk, maybe a wink, and then he'll proceed to light your defense up. I mean, this dude, he's been in the league so long. He knows everything. And he's just cerebral about it. I mean, like I said, this dude, he's had his playoff woes, but, man, overall, as far as consistency and just arm talent alone, that dude's one of the best quarterbacks I've ever went against.
Yeah, I mean, and the other thing that people don't talk about, too, he can run the ball when he needs to pick up a first down. He's very elusive outside the pocket. But, yeah, I just wanted to hear that insight. That was cool to hear. But, you know, we talked about the undrafted free agent a lot in this, and this is a big topic, especially for Bryce and I back home, because James Robinson – with the Jacksonville Jaguars, and then Fred VanVleet with the Toronto Raptors are both within 20 minutes from us back home. So we hear a lot about that, you know, and those guys are now finding their own niche, you know, taking that chip on their shoulder, being an undrafted free agent. You know, what was it? How were you able to create your own stability in your career on your own? You know, was there a certain thing that you just carried with you other than just the undrafted free agent? I just wanted to talk about that. And I mean, it turned into a good long career. I mean, because there are a lot of people that talk about it, chip on their shoulder, but what was your lane that you found?
For me, I never went that route. Like you said, a lot of cats I know, a lot of people I know who are undrafted, and my guy McCray, he kind of went in with that same mentality as far as chip on the shoulder. They didn't draft me, so I got to make everybody pay type deal. But for me, that wasn't it, man. I kind of knew because I always kind of treated football like I loved the game. No, let's put it like this. I liked the game, but I didn't love the game. Like I always treated it like a job. So for me, going in there, I'm like, all right, well, you know, I was undrafted, so now let me see what I got to do. I got to become best friends with the special teams coach because what they tell me is the fastest way to make the team as an undrafted guy is be on special teams to show you worked on special teams. So that's how I kind of took it, and I went that route, and I became best friends with the guy, and we ended up ended up leading his special teams, being a special teams captain. And that way I got more looks on defense. And then when I knew my opportunity was coming on defense, I had to make sure I was prepared. So that's the thing a lot of cats don't understand when they come into the league, whether you're drafted or undrafted, you got to be prepared. You got to be in that book because if you're not, when your opportunity comes, like you never know. You never know when your opportunity is going to come. And if it comes at camp or if it comes during the game, you got to be prepared. So luckily, during that instance, I was, I had been in my books a little bit because it's training camp. So I went in my books and everything like that. And I was prepared for my opportunity when it came to the defensive side of the ball. But when it first came to the league and I'm undrafted, I had a plan about it. I kind of knew which direction I wanted to go in. And I ended up going that route and ended up working out me for the long haul. I mean, I know some cats like Chris Harris with with Denver. He kind of was that undrafted guy with a chip on his shoulder. Orlando Scandrick, who we talked about earlier, he wasn't undrafted. He was a 5th round guy, but he still had that chip on his shoulder, and he has it to this day. So, I mean, it's just it works for some guys, and some guys it doesn't. But I chose my lane, and it worked out for me in the end.
Yeah, for sure. And I kind of want to go back to the 2014 Dallas Cowboys team, and kind of ask you, or kind of tell you the story that I was actually getting confirmed. I'm a Catholic boy, and I was in the church when you guys were about to play. I'm sitting there with my grandma, and I got my phone on the side of me in the pew watching the game when you guys are going up against the Packers. And I'm sitting there. I'm like, I'm just ready to get out of this church and go watch this game. I get home to see that game, and I mean, you guys fought so hard, and I really wish that game would have ended up with a different result, but I just had to throw that little story in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was tough, man. It was because I mean, there was so many opportunities where we could have won that game. If you think about it, the DeMarco run where randomly, Peppers, he throws out a random right punch. Like, it wasn't even like it was meant to go in there and actually strip it. He just kind of swatted at him, and he hit it right perfectly. And DeMarco fumbles the ball. If he doesn't fumble, he's still running to this day. And who knows what we're talking about. But there's just so many different instances that game, man, where we had an opportunity and we let it fold, man. So it didn't always come down to that catch, but, man, it was a tough loss overall.
For sure. And I kind of want to ask you now, do you have any regrets with your playing career, or is there anything you wish you would have done differently at all, or are you pretty satisfied with what you did and the teams you played for?
You know what? Overall, I think I'm satisfied, man. Like, I did what I did. I was on successful teams. I was on teams that were historically bad. But overall, I mean, I always had a good time with it, man. It was never, even though I looked at it as a job, it was never stressful. I never went into work saying, man, I can't believe I'm here again. Like, no matter how, even though we were 4-12 or we were 13-3, like, it was always a good time with the guys there and the teammates. And luckily, I was blessed enough to have teammates that were always, always had my back and pretty much were always just there. So my teammates were great, and they became, friends, and some of them best friends. So I was blessed enough to have good teammates, and my time in the league was a great experience. It was a great experience from the highs to the lows, and I wouldn't change a thing. I don't regret a thing. And man, yeah, it was a great ride.
Yeah, and for this last question here before we wrap it up and stuff, we always ask our guests, and obviously you got a little bit more lenience and a little bit more power than some of our other guests we've had in the past. What's some advice that you have for our podcast that you have your own, as we continue to grow this? We're just two guys from Northern Illinois, and we're 20 years old, and we're just a couple months into this, and we're really liking it. So just kind of give us a little insight what you think we should do to help this.
Man, to be honest, and it may sound cliche, it may sound corny, but man, if you love it, man, keep doing it and keep giving it your all. Because I'm telling you, if you're doing it just to get the notoriety, you're doing it to get, we want to be this top 10 or top 20, it's going to end up becoming a job, and it's going to be getting stressful, and you're going to end up not liking it. So for me, man, if you love it, just keep doing what you're doing, man. And eventually, hopefully it catches on and it becomes this big mega hit. But to me, don't do it just to get to that point. Do it just because you love it and that's what you want to do. And that's kind of how I got into what I'm doing now. I kind of always wanted to talk football, and I love the game of football. When it comes to watching it and breaking it down and stuff like that, I like doing that. So that's what it became my job after I retired. And hey, it doesn't feel like a job because I love doing it. So like I said, if y'all two are on that same type of path, just keep going, man. It'll work out in the end.
Yeah, for sure. And you mentioned just to do what we love, and kind of the reason, I'll let you know, the reason behind we're kind of doing this podcast is I currently go to UW Whitewater in Wisconsin, and I'm working on being a graduate assistant on the football team. And so my goal pretty much is to network with as many people I possibly can and establish those relationships. So down the road, I have those connections to coach football.
Shoot, look at Kellen Moore. He's talking about get up the coaching ranks. I mean, that dude came in. I don't even know if he was drafted. He might have been drafted, but he bounced around the league. My last year it was 2015. He played for us for maybe 2 games. Then out of nowhere became a quarterback coach, and now he's a offensive coordinator, but he might jump to the head coach. I mean, so like you said, it's all about connections and networks, man, especially the older you get in life. So, man, that's definitely a positive thing to keep going.
For sure. And so I just wanted to say I greatly appreciate you taking the time out of your day to do this for us and come on here. And I hope maybe with some of your connections with some Cowboys players, maybe you can help us out and get us some special guests and learn some more about some ex-Cowboys players.
No doubt, man. Let me know when you guys need a guest, and then I'll try my hardest to get somebody on here, man. No doubt.
Appreciate that. being a diehard Cowboys fan, I used to idolize you and J.J. Wilcox back in that back there, them hard-hitting safeties.
My boy Wilcox, man. Man, I got to hit him up. I haven't talked to him in a while. That's my boy, though. We were called the Blues Brothers back when Marinelli was our coach. He gave nicknames to all his players, and me and him back there were the Blues Brothers, man. So, JJ, man, that's one of my boys right there, man. Glad you were a fan of his.
For sure. I just wanted to – go ahead, Ruckman. Go ahead.
No, you're good. I know you're happy with this. You're happy that I have beat a Cowboys fan. But, no, this was really cool, Barry. I can't thank you enough. This was huge for us, and – you know, it was a lot easier just to say no and ignore two guys that, you know, you have no idea, no connections with. But this really helped us a lot. And, you know, just for the next step with this. And we enjoy this. And we enjoyed having you on. And we can't thank you enough. But so I'll wrap it up here. We'll catch you guys next week. Until then, catch up on some of our past videos on YouTube. Make sure you guys are liking, subscribing, and viewing it. And leave us a comment. So for some feedback here. So you can help us get this podcast to where we want to be and where you guys want it to be. And we thank you guys again for tuning in.
Yes, sir. Go ahead and Gronk spike that subscribe button. We'll see you guys Friday.